Welcome to another episode of Theological Pipe. News, culture, sports, politics, and everything else from a theological perspective.
It's all summed up in love.
What should I do? Tell me. God is good. Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give me peace. Give me peace.
Put that in your theological pipe and smoke it. Hey, welcome to episode 2 of Theological Pipe. We're back. I wanted to thank everyone who has listened to episode 1, who's commented, who's sent me text or messages on Facebook or my text or Twitter, and given me feedback. Really appreciate it. Again, it was the first attempt. I basically turned on the mic. Well, actually, I turned it on and turned it off like 3 or 4 times and was getting tired of going back and starting over. So I just said, I'm just going to do it. I'll leave the mistakes in there. And I'll just go. And so I'm going to try to do the same thing again here. But thank you if you listened and continue to listen, continue to give me feedback. We are on Spotify. We also are on YouTube. You can just search for Theological Pipe. You'll see a picture of a old guy with a pipe that's got like a galaxy in the pipe. That's me, Chris. My name's Chris Tesaurus. And you can follow us. You can subscribe to us. You can like us, that kind of stuff. Share it with your friends. If you go to Twitter, we have a Twitter page at Theological Pipe. You can comment. You can message me. You can send in a request or a question, and we'll talk. So again, thank you guys for listening. And I pray that hope and pray that it's entertaining and fun, and maybe we get to think about things in a different way. And that's really, again, the whole goal of the Theological Pipe, is just to put something in the proverbial theological pipe and smoke it and think about it and wrestle with it and maybe think about things in a different way. And so I wanted to start with probably one of the most important tweets that I've ever read. It's from a guy named K.W. Miller for Congress. He's a congressional candidate in Florida, Florida's 18th district. And this is what he said. His Twitter handle is at KW Congressional. And this is what he says, and I want you to listen. It's pretty important. He says, Beyonce is not even African American. She's faking this for exposure. Her real name is Anne Marie Lastrassi. She is Italian. This is all part of the Soros deep state agenda for the Black Lives Matter movement. Beyonce, you are on notice. And for that last sentence, when he says, Beyonce, you are on notice, it's all capitalized, and it ends with an exclamation point. And man, I'm blown away. Can you believe what do we do with that? How are we going to sleep at night when Beyonce's she's Italian and she's part of some deep state Soros movement? This is earth-shattering stuff, and I have no doubt that this guy is not just going to win his congressional race in Florida. He's on a fast track to the White House. So just remember the name K.W. Miller. He's, like I said, you can go look at his Facebook or his Twitter page, and I'll just tell you, don't do it. But yeah, what is going on? This is the craziest thing I've ever read, and he's got some really crazy tweets. And the funny part was, and the thing that made it stand out for me, every time I read stuff like that, I just want to see who these people are and what are they doing, and it's got to be a joke or whatever. But anyway, it says here it's K.W. Miller, an unaffiliated candidate running in Florida's 18th congressional district. Had a bizarre series of tweets. And thank God he's unaffiliated, because I don't want this guy affiliated with Republicans or Democrats or independents or anything like that. It's ridiculous. And, politics is such a divisive thing right now that it's crazy. And so if you listen to my first episode, you probably maybe got the idea that I would be a conservative, especially because I talked about the media mainly being liberal. We talked about how they cover things from a certain perspective, and the idea of this podcast is to cover things from maybe a different perspective than you might hear things. So you heard that episode and you're like, oh, he's a conservative. And I don't really lean that way, or I think conservatives are A, B, and C of bad. You just pick the bad things that we pigeonhole conservatives with. And you would be right. I'm conservative in some areas, quite a few areas, I would say, in terms of, the Bill of Rights, in terms of taxes. I think taxes should be lower. In terms of fiscal policy, I think we spend too much money. In those instances, yeah, I'm probably going to lean conservative for the most part. But today you may leave this podcast saying, oh, he's not as conservative as I thought. He's actually kind of on the liberal side, because what we talk about may go that direction. You'd be like, what is going on here? When it comes to education and healthcare, I'm going to be liberal on those things. So if there's ever a bill that funds education, that increases funding for education, that's a grant, and that does anything to increase education or make education more available or increase spending to education, I'm going to vote for it. And that's just it. So you could say, well, that's hypocritical. You just said you were against taxes, but you're going to vote for something that increases taxes when it comes to education. Yes. And I'm just going to do it. Same thing when it comes to healthcare. And again, I understand, and I'm not calling for government, run healthcare. But if there's something that's going to help people who can't get healthcare, probably going to vote for it. Yes, I understand the issues. Yes, I understand the taxes and how the government mismanages money. They always do. And if they're going to continue to mismanage money, I would rather them mismanage money going towards education and healthcare than not mismanagement. And I know that's a stupid saying, and I know that you're probably listening and go, what is this guy talking about? But that's where I'm at with that. So conservative in some areas, liberal in some areas, and probably libertarian in areas when it comes to social issues. The libertarian part of me, and I think I have the libertarian idea right when it comes to just leave me alone. So what adults do on their own is their own business. Now, yes, there's probably a line somewhere, and when it comes to issues, we can talk about that line. But for the most part, I think the government just needs to leave people alone. Again, this goes back to probably being a conservative in small government. Henry David Thoreau, one of my favorite authors, he says, the government is best, which governs least. So leave people alone. Let them do what they need to do. Again, that's a whole bunch of hypocrisy right there. Conservative, liberal, libertarian. Now, that's going to switch. That's what I think in terms of government, my political stances when it comes to government. That's going to change when I talk about myself in terms of being a Christian. And I'm going to have different opinions on that. And I'm going to have the Word of God, and I'm going to have the Bible, and I'm going to have other theologians and stuff and say, this is what they believe. So you wrap all that up. What does that mean? It means I'm a big walking hypocritical fuzzball that hopefully loves everybody. And so I kind of wanted to make sure that if you listen to the first episode, you got one part. Listen to this, you're going to get another, and we're going to get another. And again, hopefully what will happen is as I continue to do these, people will send in questions. People will talk and say, hey, why don't we talk about this? Or have you ever thought about it this way? Maybe we can get some interaction going. So again, we're found on, right now we're on Spotify and on YouTube, and I think we'll be up on other platforms soon. So you can go to the YouTube page and you can if you search for Theological Pipe, you'll see the picture of a guy with an old guy kind of close up smoking a pipe, and the pipe has a galaxy. And you can leave comments on the YouTube page. You could we have a Twitter page at Theological Pipe, and you can go and just comment there and ask a question or ask a comment or say, did you ever think about this? Or, hey, can we discuss this? And I'll be glad to do it. And like I said, I think we'll be on Apple Podcasts pretty soon and Google Podcasts and everything. So, but man, again, I appreciate you guys listening. And what I want to kind of to talk about today, and I hate, I don't say hate. Yeah, I hate. I'm getting tired of the coronavirus. And not just the fact that we are basically quarantined and being really careful and being really concerned. And we've been doing it now for months. It was basically, for me, it was spring break. And after that, I've been working at home, and I am blessed, and I thank God that I still have a job. I know there's people that have lost their job, and I pray that the economy comes back soon and jobs come back soon, and that you're able to pay bills and all those kind of things, and you're able to get jobs. And I pray people are able to get back to work and get the economy going. And I am blessed that I still have a job. But I've been working at home since spring break, since the end of March. So that's April, May, June. We're now in July. This is the 4th month. And, we're still dealing with it. We're seeing an increase in the number of cases in a lot of states. Now, the good news, at least right now, is even as the cases are increasing, the death rate, the number of deaths are going down. There was a little spike today, but they've actually gone down. If you go to the CDC website, they actually are saying now that they're pretty close to being able to not call the coronavirus a pandemic in the United States anymore. And I don't know what how they determine it, but I know if a certain number of deaths, if it's lower than that for a certain period of time, it's no longer a pandemic. And man, I'm praying for that. I hope that the pandemic goes away. And so you watch the news and you see what's going on. My concern, again, from a Christian standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, from someone who believes in God, a theological standpoint, is the reaction that people are having to the virus. It blows my mind that everything turns into a fight. Everything turns into a political stance. Everything turns into a line in the sand. And I get it. I get that there are people that don't want to wear a mask. They think this is overblown. That's fine. And again, I'm not going to argue yes or no. I can look at the numbers, and you could look at the numbers, and we can argue about the reaction to the numbers, and we can argue about if the numbers are really real and all that kind of stuff. I get it, and I understand it. And you may not want to wear a mask, but there are a lot of people that have COVID. I mean, we know that it's in the millions in terms of the number of people that have COVID. And we know that we're over 100,000 people that have died from it. And yes, you can say, well, 100,000 people die from the flu. It's not that many a year, but okay, they do. And we don't wear a mask for the flu. Okay, we don't. But right now, there are a lot of people that are concerned, not just for themselves, but for their mom and dad, for their grandma and grandpa, for their aunt and uncle, for their neighbor who has some other illness, who has some other condition that they have to worry about, and they're in a high-risk category. And a lot of people are worried. And so a lot of people are saying, you need to wear a mask. When you go out, you should wear a mask. And when people say that, for some reason, a lot of people, a lot of good people, a lot of Christian people are fighting back against that. And I get it. I get freedom. And I get the idea that, hey, it's overblown. I get that you may think that. And I also get where that comes from. I want to read a couple things from the World Health Organization. And this may help people who don't understand why people say, I can't believe people don't want to wear masks. Well, this is what the World Health Organization said. This is going back to February and March when things started going. So this is what they said in a report. They said, transmission from asymptomatic cases is likely not a major driver of this transmission. A few months later, they say silent spreaders, so asymptomatic spreaders, may be responsible for half of COVID-19 cases. Okay? The World Health Organization also said this: if you are healthy, you only need to wear a mask if you are taking care of a person with suspected coronavirus infection. Wear a mask if you are coughing and sneezing. That was a tweet that said when to use a mask. World Health Organization, this is a report later on, a few months later, World Health Organization changes COVID-19 mask guidance. Wear one if you can't keep your distance. World Health Organization says this. This was in January as the disease was coming and was kind of going throughout the world. It says preliminary investigations conducted by the Chinese authorities have found no clear evidence of human-to-human transmission of the novel coronavirus identified in Wuhan, China. And then just a few weeks later, China confirms human-to-human transmission of coronavirus. Here's another one. Fact, this is from the World Health Organization. Fact, COVID-19 is not airborne. The coronavirus is mainly transmitted through droplets generated when an infected person sneezes, coughs, or speaks. To protect yourself, keep 1 meter distance from others, disinfect surfaces regularly, wash and rub your hands, and avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. A few weeks later, World Health Organization acknowledges emerging evidence of airborne spread of COVID-19. And I can go on, and that's just the World Health Organization. The Center for Disease Control has conflicting messages from time to time. The media, whose trust is at an all-time low because of politics and because of the way they cover politics, will say one thing and then act like, I don't understand why people aren't listening to us. because they're getting conflicting messages, because they don't believe the media, and they want to stand up for their freedom. And you know what? All that's wonderful, and I do get it. But here's where I want to come from it. And if you listen to the last episode of the podcast and you got to the end of it, you know that I ended with the phrase, just be nice, right? Be nice. We're not asking, nobody who wants people to wear masks is doing anything wrong. They're really just wanting to protect people. Now, if you think it's some nefarious plot to control people in their, to have some kind of psychological mind game on people and to control them, more power to you. But here's what I know. If I go someplace and someone wants me to wear a mask and it makes them feel better, even if it does nothing, if it makes a person happy, if it makes a person feel better, I'm probably going to do it. Because you need to be nice to people. And we do know that, again, maybe we don't. Maybe you could say, well, this report says masks don't work. Well, this report says masks do work. Well, this report says masks work. That's why healthcare people wear them. Well, they're wearing a certain kind of mask and we're only wearing this kind of. I get it. I get that the information is bad. But I do know that cases are spiking. I do know that that probably every one of us, anyone that's listening to this, probably knows someone that has coronavirus or has had coronavirus, or is suffering with it right now. So I know people that are in the hospital right now with it. And if it's going to make people feel better, even if it does absolutely nothing to protect people, but if I can make someone happy or put someone at ease, especially in this time when we've been cooped up for 4 months, when people are losing their jobs, when people are worried about the future, when people are also dealing with a political climate that is just going crazy, if putting on a mask makes people feel better, I'm going to do it. Now, I'll be honest, I don't wear a mask every time I go out. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So again, there's me being hypocritical. I'm sitting here saying you should wear a mask, and I don't do it every time. But I try to, and I will, and I have no problem with a business that says if you don't wear a mask, you can't come in. That's their right as a business. And if you don't like it, guess what? Don't shop there. Don't go there. And understand that maybe they're doing it for a reason. So you go to a mom and pop restaurant or a mom and pop flower shop or restaurant, which most restaurants you don't have to wear a mask, but go to a shop somewhere and the sign on the door says you don't wear a mask. And you could go on YouTube and you can go on Twitter and you can see these Karens and these Jims. And I don't know if Jim is Jim and Karen, I have no idea. But you can see these people yelling and screaming, I don't have to wear a mask. It's my constitutional right. Hey, great, don't wear a mask. But don't go into the shop if the owner says, we don't want you to come in here without a mask. How do you know that maybe that owner is working their tail off and then has to go home to their 90-year-old mother or 80-year-old father, and they have to take care of them, and they have respiratory issues, and they have other things that they're dealing with, and they're just trying to protect their loved ones. And so you know what? Put a mask on, go shop, come out, and leave. And because just be nice, be reasonable. You want to have a debate about it? Have a debate about it, but be friendly about it. Because again, if you read just the World Health Organization tweets that I just read, of course there's going to be confusion. But so what? Here's the best thing about the virus that people should say, nobody knows. This is brand new. We are running to catch up. So you know what? Instead of criticizing every leader's decision, every governor's decision, the president's decision, the prime minister's decision, the president of other countries, we're all up in arms about what they're doing and what they're not doing and what they're trying to do. You know what? Maybe pray for them. Maybe be positive and realize that they are not just dealing with sickness, they are dealing with unemployment, they are dealing with people trying to pay bills, they are trying to deal with a whole bunch of things, and we have probably just scratched the surface of the impact of this, and it's going to go on for months, maybe years. I hope not. I hope we rebound as quick as possible, but we don't know. So when it comes to masks, just be nice. Be nice about it. Don't wear a mask or don't wear a mask. But if wearing a mask makes someone happy, why would you not want to make them happy? Why would you not want to make them feel comfortable? Even if the perception that they have is wrong, so what? It's their perception. Be nice to people. Be friendly to people. And maybe think about things in a different way and understand that everybody that has an opinion for a reason. And if you want to convince them that they're wrong, probably the best way to do it is not to call them call them out on social media, to chastise them, or to go all crazy in real life so you can get yourself on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or Snapchat or any social media and have people video you going nuts because they're making me wear a mask. This is America. I don't have to. It's a conspiracy. Guess what? Let's pretend it is a conspiracy. So just put a mask on. Put a mask on and keep people safe and think good thoughts and understand that if the leader, the mayor or the governor or the president, if they're doing something, maybe it's not evil. Maybe they're just trying to navigate this like we all are, because we don't know. We don't know what's going on. We don't know how this is all playing out. There's still new information about the virus coming out every day. I do know that one thing that we probably, that helps me or that I think we should do is don't live in fear. And that's hard to say because I've gone through bouts of anxiety and fear and depression with this, but that shouldn't rule us. Let's go out and let's be the positive people. Let's be friendly to people. There's a great post going around on Facebook, and I shared it on my page. It's talking about when we open up schools, and I want you to think about if we open up schools or if we don't. And they're usually talking about elementary schools and middle schools and high schools. No matter what decision is made, someone's going to be unhappy, and guess what? Probably rightfully so. If they open it up, a lot of people are going to be happy and a lot of people are going to be upset. If they close it down, a lot of people are going to be happy, a lot of people are going to be upset, and they probably have good reasons for it. And so maybe instead of attacking people, let's listen and let's try to figure out, maybe by us listening to each other, maybe by us understanding where people are coming from, we can come up with a solution that other people didn't think about. We have tremendous power in this country to work together. That's what the United States allows us to do. So let's do it. Let's tackle issues and not demonize people just because they have an opinion on something that's different from ours. And again, so at the end of the day, just be nice. Be nice. I know there's misinformation out there. I know there's political agendas out there. I know people from both sides, from all different walks of life and different political points of view, and I understand where they're coming from. But the end of the day is we don't know. So let's try to figure this out together. And when we do it, let's be nice and maybe think about things in a different way and understand that just because someone identifies as a conservative, they may not fall into the stereotype that most Democrats think conservatives are, and vice versa. Just because someone says they're a Democrat doesn't mean that they fit those evil stereotypes that Republicans have of them, and so on. And let's understand that, and let's try to work together. And at the end of the day, the United States is a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. So let's work together. Let's bound together. Here's something I thought about. I think we're more alike than we are different, but we always play up our differences. I mean, if you were to survey anyone from any race, from any color, from any creed, from any from age, if you'd say, what are some things that you want for your life? To be happy, to be content, to have enough food to eat, have some shelter, have a good relationship, nice job. I mean, these are universal things. These are things that all of us want. We all want those things. We want protection. We want peace. We want happiness. We want joy. We want to be able to, buy some things that we want to do those things. So let's focus on the things that bring us together. And right now, what do we all want? I want to go out. I want to watch sports. I want to go to a football game, in the fall. And I don't know how we're going to get there, but I'm going to be positive about it and hope that we're going to get there. And so, I don't know that this is necessarily a put that in your theological pipe and smoke it moment. But maybe just think about things a little bit differently and understand that no matter who you're dealing with, they're coming from someplace. And yes, even if they come from a place of ignorance. So do we just say, oh, well, as a believer, again, I'm coming from a Christian standpoint here, just because someone's ignorant or dumb, I'm not gonna love them. I'm not gonna listen to them. I'm not gonna offer to be with them. Of course not. And so in any case, just listen and be friendly, and maybe approach people from the standpoint of they're all coming from a place. They all have a life that they led leading up to this moment, and those things shape their points of view for better or for worse. And if we're going to be part of the human race, man, we need to accept each other and love each other and lift each other up and not drag each other down. And so maybe that's it. Put that in your theological pipe and smoke it. And so again, thanks for listening. I hope this one went a little smoother. Maybe not, but that's beside the point. It's just to kind of talk and hopefully get into things. And we'll get into some other things. And I'll probably start maybe making these a little bit longer and have sections of what we're talking about. But again, we're going to cover politics and culture and sports and current events and just everything. And again, coming from the standpoint, like I said, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. There's a God, and that's where I'm coming from with this kind of stuff. And so maybe that's kind of shapes how I look at things. And again, I know I'm all over the place, and I know I'm hypocritical, and I'm working on it. The Bible says that I'm not going to be complete. I'm not going to be done until I'm dead. So I'm always going to have areas to improve on, and I'm going to work on that. Hopefully, work on those things, and even when I don't, hopefully one of these days recognize that I didn't work on it and I need to work on it. So, again, thanks, and again, as I leave you, I'm going to leave you with the same thing. Just be nice. Be nice. You'd be surprised what being nice does to people. I know you probably all have stories. Just walk. We don't walk past people at work anymore because we're working from home. But when we get back to work, smile at people. Ask people how they're doing, but mean it. Don't do the typical church greeting. Hey, how you doing? I'm fine. How you doing? I'm good. Most people, when they ask it at church, they don't really mean it. They're really just trying to, it's kind of like a greeting. Don't do those things as greeting. Really mean it. When you say, how are you doing? And if someone says, I'm fine, and you can detect that maybe they're not fine, go a little deeper. Say, you don't sound good. What's going on? Tell me what's been happening, and start having those conversations. And let's start being nice to each other, because that's going to change the world. Being nice is really an offshoot of just loving. And if we could love people, things are going to be so much better. So, wear a mask or don't. But be nice about it, and understand that if someone's asking you to wear one, there's probably a reason for it. Don't think the worst of people. Put that in your theological pipe and smoke it, and be nice. We'll see you next time. Thanks.
I just want to lie on the beach and eat hot dogs. That's all I've ever wanted.